So where are we? Manvir made the point that we are still at the baby stage as far as professional governance, especially on the marketing side of our football industry. But we have youth here, or a person who deals with youth at the age of 12, 13, 14, for example.
Yeah.
So you're not going to take care of them and produce the next Steven Gerrard coming from somewhere like my hometown, Jalan Abi Batas Pipe in Perlis, train there in Janda Baik, and then suddenly at the age of 18, okay, anybody who wants to take him, please do. I'm sure you have bigger plans than that. If you can please share, because the marketing side has got to be finalized from now while you are still grooming them.
That's right. What the academy is all about is actually putting soccer as a possible profession for these kids.
Right.
That's what it is. So there is continuity. The story doesn't end with you coming to the academy from 13, 14, you go to 18 and we say bye-bye. No. The relationship continues. The academy is owned by our club, Frenz United Football Club. So right now the club is in a way dormant while the academy is doing work to develop the students. So when they reach the age of 18, this is when the club steps in and hires them as professional players. Pay them whatever salary commensurate with their ability and their potential at that point in time. And this is where we push them towards the international arena.
So the first right of refusal is Frenz Football Club?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
But others can take them too if they pay higher.
We have a suitor waiting, and that's the club, our Frenz United
If that
Football
is the
Club.
case, so already there must be a commercial plan, because if Safi Salih is the first to break the glass ceiling, as you give that note to me, and I would like to take that point, we want more Safi Salih, and in 6 years' time, we want them to not only have 10% of Lionel Messi, of Cristiano Ronaldo's pay, but at least a bit closer, maybe a quarter. So that will be in the region of maybe 50,000 per week, for example, kind of salary. Are we looking at?
That's not too bad.
So what kind of infrastructure would we need locally or around ASEAN, as Ruben pointed out, because he's arguing that maybe we're not big enough to sustain that kind of greatness.
You're right. The infrastructure is actually a challenge for the academy. Ruben talks about having a platform for exposure so you can really pit their skills and hone their skills. It is sadly lacking for under 14, and we've experienced that. The best platform for under 14 is actually the KPM League. Unfortunately, it's not open to everybody. It's only open to Majlis Sukan. We wanted to be in, but we couldn't because we're not Majlis Sukan. So we're a corporation, we can move fast. And like I said, we put money where our passion is. We started our own trophy tournament. So we started the Frenz Trophy 2012. It started in May 4th. It's still ongoing right now. And the final will be on 1st July. We have started the marketing process for these players, for our Frenz players. So the Frenz Trophy tournament is the beginning of the marketing exercise. And we're tapping on the new channels of marketing. We're tapping on social media. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, and we do have a fan club. Yes, admittedly it's fledgling, but it will grow with the students. And we plan to have the tournament every year. This year, the participating teams, 16 altogether, are just within Malaysia. But starting next year, we're going to open it to the Asian region. So our marketing vehicle is chugging along.
A lot have been talked about, directly or indirectly, since we began, about the status quo. But I must comment one thing about Malaysian football industry right now. To see our southern neighbour, the Singapore team, back on our home soil, playing our team and really giving us a hiding sometimes, you know, and we doing the same to them up there. And I've done my research, I've even been there at those matches, and it's sparking a new interaction that I thought would forever be lost. So if we can do it to Malaysia and Singapore, Ruben's point is, why can't we do it across to Jakarta, Manila, Bangkok, for example, or even later Napitau or Yangon? So if we were to go ASEAN, and you know, you've already gone there with the ball in the hand, not at the feet. And you remind me of one young entrepreneur born into a media-barren family, then sent to the Ivy League universities, came back, had no choice but to work in the family newspaper business, but turned it around using sports, using basketball, and now Java Post, Google that if you're not familiar, is one of the success stories, beating even the mainstream newspapers that we know in Malaysia, because they go to the non-traditional. They are the Asia of the newspaper in Indonesia right now. So if that can be done, using sports to turn around a business, why can't sports by itself be an industry that's lucrative for ASEAN? No-brainer, right?
I think any sport will be lucrative for ASEAN. It's just that the affairs of each country won't allow it to happen.
Okay.
I think that's the main problem now.
Territorial?
Extremely territorial.
Okay.
Unlike basketball, where they are not territorial at all, that's why we now have an ASEAN Basketball League. And as I mentioned before, Westports is very, very particular about how we invest. And the reason we invested is because this is ASEAN-wide, and our coverage is to 600 million people.
Yes.
And that makes the investment in terms of advertising or in terms of sponsorship a lot more lucrative. When you're just targeting this small 26 million people or 28 million people that we have, it's not big enough.
Yeah.
You know? So for sponsors to come in when they have such a big market overseas, it makes sense. So for us to attract sponsors like Maybank and Cellcom and Gatorade and other brands as well, it's been easier because we're projecting it ASEAN-wide. And the games are actually shown on ESPN, not just ASEAN-wide, but Asian-wide. You can watch the games in Hong Kong and it's also in Korea, which means these brands are actually projected to all those countries. You see? So I think that market makes it easier for sponsors to want to come in themselves, as opposed to when you're just talking about Malaysian football, it's harder for them to invest the money because there's so many other things they could be doing. And you see Malaysian brands now, like Munchies is going to advertise in Manchester United in the UK.
Yes.
SP Setia is sponsoring the whole league.
Yes.
So you have companies like that who want to broadcast there because they are reaching a much wider market, not just in Asia but around the world. So if we don't have at least the very least the ASEAN market to promote our games in, I don't think we can actually break through in that sense to get the sponsors to come in, is it?
Safirul, if basketball can do it, you know, I'm lucky because I went to boarding school, so we do have national boarding school competition, yes. But for the others, some don't even know how to play basketball. So if they can network around ASEAN and have a league, you know, why can't football be there in a bigger, better way?
Well, as
politics?
Yeah, definitely the number
In
one
sports?
factor. Everybody's territorial. There will be sanctioning issues. There will be you need to move away from the traditional federations to be able to make it happen. You know, it's the same case as the ASEAN. It's the same case as the NBA also in the US, because that's why NBA and FIBA, you need to know your alignment. You know, whether you go with the NBA or you go with FIBA. So these are the issues that we have to manage. But if you look at India and the Indian subcontinent, they managed to do it with cricket. They survive on that market alone. So we have to find a model that include all the ASEAN countries.
Who will find it? Because we can't wait for it to happen. Like we have to initiate.
Yes, we do have to. I think there are efforts right now going on to make sure that this ASEAN Football League a reality. I think we should be able to see some results. You know, maybe next year. It's going.
I can tell you, if there was an ASEAN Football League, I would invest in a team.
Yeah,
it's as easy as that.
Funder already there.
So
and the ABL, the ASEAN Basketball League, actually, you know, initially was supposed to be the football league, but it was supposed to be the football league.
Maybe I should
because
change.
Of all those issues, it didn't happen yet.
Yes, Manvir.
You're absolutely right about it. You know, it needs to be a larger market. But we need to open our eyes here. We need to open our doors here, just like in free trade and everything else. We need to open up and say, we want to get into that market. What do we require to get in there? What is required to get in there? And we have to do that. We cannot be territorial. We cannot continue to do that because no man is an island. We are that island right now, unfortunately. And our players are afraid to go away. They're afraid to go out of their comfort zone. We need to be brave enough to do that. I mean, if a kid from Portugal can end up playing in Spain, England or Holland, what are we saying about ourselves here? If you look at Korea and Japan. You know, Korea and Japan, 20 years ago, we would know them to be really small, short, demure kind of people. What changed? Their entire mindset changed, and they decided, we want to compete there. What do we need to compete there? Our kids need better nutrition. So they ate better, and now we've got, I mean, you've got 6-foot Japanese. That, you know, 20 years ago, that's not possible.
But marriages with Brazilians.
Exactly,
also.
yeah. So it's a change, and the world has become such. It's global.
Okay.
It's absolutely global.
And on that point, Lon, don't worry so much about creating a new Safi Salih. I'm telling you, we do have players. You see Harimau Muda playing the S-League, and they just want Zach Haikal and those guys. But my issue has always been, if you take the cream of the cream of the cream of every school and put them in one school, that might have a problem, because you take out the rivalries. You know, people don't relate these players to VI, to St. John, for example. It's always sekolah sukan. So you lose some on rivalries and stuff.
Well, physically, our players have no disadvantage whatsoever.
Okay.
Mentally, they do.
I sense a lot of frustrations here, but it's okay. This is Astro AWANI when we talk about issues, but we're going to be practical too. We're going to this commercial break, but once we are back, let's put out all this frustration and think only as one person, and that is as a parent. Because if a parent decides that no way am I going to send any child of mine to any of these initiatives that we're talking about, we are not going anywhere very soon. And that we'll discuss after this break.